moving on to current events. So I want to start off by talking about the recent laws passed in Texas regarding trans children. So Greg Abbott has officially directed family and protective services to begin investigating all trans children in Texas and prosecuting their parents as child abusers. He has also instructed all teachers, doctors, and caregivers to begin reporting any trans students they see. He says if you have a duty to report in Texas, Texas is officially saying that you have to report trans youth to family and protective services or risk losing your job. Needless to say, or not so needless, seeing as this law passed, it's despicable that families are being threatened with prosecution and being separated simply due to children wanting to feel comfortable in their own skin. For anyone looking to help people affected by this law, I'll leave a link in the description to a thread by at Aaron the Morn on Twitter of all GoFundMe's of parents of trans kids who need to relocation assistance out of Texas here. So yeah, I just felt like I needed to, whenever stuff like this happens in the world, I feel the need to, tell people about that on our podcast and give them some information so that you're just aware of the things that are going on and maybe you can help. But also wanted to talk about a previous episode we had where we touched on some trans issues. Mary, you probably know what I'm talking about. In a previous video titled "Is Dave Chappelle a TERF?" I discussed my opinion on a joke he made about TERFs, and I'd like to make some clarifying statements because I've talked to a man about this, or maybe I haven't. I might have talked to you about it a couple of times about how I'm always thinking about that video. Like, if for some reason our podcast ever grows in popularity, people are going to go back and cherry pick what I said in that episode and make me look worse. So I feel the need to clarify and make sure that I'm not offending anyone, because I went back and listened to it a couple of times and I feel comfortable in what I said. But also there are a couple of things I said that I go, that might be harmful. I should probably let people know how what I meant. So there's like 2 pinned comments under that video that I'll reiterate. They essentially go like this. As a queer Black man, I understand that if a marginalized community finds something offensive, I have no right to tell them that it isn't, and instead should listen. My intention was to give my interpretation of his joke and open a discussion about context and the complications of reviewing something without having seen it in full. Not to tell anyone their opinions are wrong, but I can see how my words could be harmful and insensitive. So if they were, I apologize. But moving on, another unfortunately sad thing. Russia has begun a war in Ukraine. So the last information I had about how America is responding to this is Joe Biden has stated that U.S. troops are deploying to Eastern Europe to help bolster NATO countries. However, they will not be fighting in Ukraine. Again, that was last I heard. This was like written a week ago, so things could have changed. For those who don't know, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is an intergovernmental military alliance between 28 European countries and 2 North American countries. I believe it is Canada and America, established in the aftermath of World War II. NATO constitutes a system of collective security where its independent member states agree to mutual defense in response to an attack by an external party. I don't know if you can tell, but I lifted that from Wikipedia.
I was gonna say that is a word for word the Wikipedia description. Like,
yeah,
you're not even,
because I didn't know how to describe it myself in my own words. So I heard a theory as to why Russia started this war, and the theory is that Ukraine was planning on joining NATO, and NATO is obviously a very powerful organization, treaty organization. So Russia felt threatened, and they didn't want a country that bordered them to join that effort. So they attacked them, and it always sucks when we get horrific news back to back. It makes you want to stay off social media for a few days. Like when COVID started, it just got annoying to see the same stuff regurgitated over and over again about what we needed to do to stay safe. But it needed to happen. But just because it needed to happen doesn't mean I need to see it or want to see it more accurately. But yeah, of course, I'm ever optimist and will hope for the end of this sooner rather than later.